Welcome to Unleashed Opinion, boldly challenging the powers that be while keeping liberals in their place with conservative ideals and common sense solutions.
Hello, folks. It's the Unleashed Opinion. We are back once again.
Yeah, they let us out of the asylum again for one more
You
week.
betcha. Deacon's in the house. We got Bob Smith in the
got
house with
Bob.
us.
Hey, I made it.
You
I made it finally.
made it.
You know, my name's on there, but I'm never around.
Well, we're going to change that.
Absolutely. And thank you for your military service, my man.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, thank
Still
you.
going strong. Big thank yous out to our men and women, all our men and women in the armed services out there doing what they do, keeping us free and safe, and making sure we maintain our rights as citizens.
Absolutely. Even for you liberals out there.
Hey, big thank you to John for putting all this equipment together for us and doing what he does, because God knows I couldn't do it without him. So, our listeners out there, greatly appreciate having you all out there. You guys out in the garage on Route 125, that's awesome.
Especially everybody over there at the Rock, Western Illinois Correctional Center there in Mount Sterling. And, hey, one of our old homies said he might be coming back before too long.
Oh, really? That'd be interesting.
T-Meg might be coming back. There's a man
I
that
remember.
never stops talking right there. Just rolls off the top
You
of
better
his
put
head.
your overtime shoes on that one.
Yes, and if you have virgin ears, you might not want to listen in.
Do we get time and a half here at Unleashed Opinion?
Well, he tried to hit me up for a pay raise the other day.
Oh, yeah?
I said, naught times naught's what? Big thank you out to the people who send us text messages and send us items to talk about on the show. That helps out quite a bit. That gives us a kind of a handle on what people are thinking about and what they're looking at, and so on. So,
Thanks to all of our police departments, fire departments, first responders, and everybody out there doing their job, because if it wasn't for you, God knows what would happen in this world. It's
Yep.
bad enough now.
you betcha.
I definitely want to extend thanks to first responders, military personnel, firefighters. I think a lot of stuff gets overlooked with our first responders.
Absolutely.
And I think that they should be in the forefront, and we should be supporting them anytime that we get a chance. I see a lot of blue stuff, blue stripes in the road, things like
Right.
that. I'll probably
Right.
be putting some out here at my place.
Ah, super.
We'll get some law enforcement support paraphernalia going on.
All right.
Yeah, and here's another thing with the first responders, especially, check your firefighters who I had an article, but I don't know where the heck it's at. But anyway, firefighters have been responding, and now they're getting shot at in places.
I seen that. That is a disgrace.
It is a disgrace.
It's absolutely a disgrace. It's almost like they set it up that way.
I think the article said that's what happened. There was a guy who set his house on fire and I think killed his wife. And I don't know if he's a little bit out there what was going on, but then the fire department got there and started shooting at him. So that's just another thing besides the fires and danger there that our first responders have to deal with.
arm them.
I
There
think
you go.
so.
Why not?
You know what? If they're going to go out there and that's the way that people are going to treat them, then they should be able to respond with equal or greater force.
And that's
Bottom
how
line.
And that's how you win.
You betcha.
Then you take our paramedics and people who are on ambulances and things like that, and some of the things that they have to see, which
That's
human
some
beings
stuff I
shouldn't
don't
have
want
to
to
see.
no.
So you got to give your hats off to them too. So
Absolutely. Okay, got an article here from a little while back. I was a little behind on bringing this one to the forefront. This is about Dave Balance, who was a Beardstown resident at one time, and I assume he still is.
Yep.
He's a member of our VFW post here in town. He was a Springfield, Illinois police officer at one time. And the article here says the tragedy of a baby being shot 17 years ago culminated in a joyful reunion Saturday between the victim, a now thriving teenager, and a former Springfield police officer who always wondered what happened to him. Balance said it was a miracle to finally see a grown-up William Smith, formerly William Cave Jr., face to face. He said, "Thank you, God, for this moment," said Balance as he hugged Smith, who's 17, in the State Journal-Register newsroom Saturday in Springfield. Smith is a senior at Normal Community High School, was joined by more than a dozen of his friends, family members who traveled to Springfield Saturday to meet Balance. Meeting the man he credits with saving his life 17 years ago was a blessing and a miracle, Smith said. "I would have never thought that someone would still be thinking about me after all these years." What has happened is on July 12, 1999, Smith was 4 months old when he was shot during a drug deal gone wrong involving his biological father, William Cave. 3 men walked up to Cave, who was in his pickup near 11th and Pine Street at 10:50 p.m. and attempted to rob him at gunpoint. The baby was also in the pickup. The elder Cave, who has since turned his life around since shooting, pulled away, and one of the men fired a handgun, and the bullet passed through Cave's back and hit Smith in the head, critically injuring him. Balance, now an independent contractor and chaplain for the veteran VFW Post 1239 in Beardstown, was one of the first patrol officers on the scene and discovered the baby had a bullet lodged under his left temple. And then in October this year, he reached out to State Journal Register to see if Smith was still alive and doing well. And he got a quick response, and they put all this together for him. That's outstanding. The guy that we know was involved with something like that, and apparently what he did, the efforts he put forth, were very good ones. Because this kid's still alive, and they didn't expect him to do hardly anything at all. There's more of an article than that to it, but I don't.
You can also, there's a video too that you can go and watch. Yeah, or I don't know. No, I take that back. There might not be a video, but there is some pictures of them two together.
Yeah,
right. It was in the newspaper. Yes.
All right. Yeah, but they were asked in there. Said, well, asked why would he be thinking of me after all those years? Because that's what some people do.
Yes.
Because if you're going out there and you're being a police officer or a first responder of any kind, there's a pretty good chance that you're not doing it all for your own personal gain. There's another reason why you chose that profession.
To help people.
Exactly.
That's what they do.
So it's that's just a byproduct of that. He's going to think about.
It's just what used to be on the police cars all the time. Serve and protect.
Absolutely.
Okay, and that's what Mr. Balance obviously did here. He served, he protected, and he even went further and wanted to find out what happened to this kid.
Sure,
so that's fantastic.
Yeah, and I know him personally. I drove by his house today. Actually,
Yep, absolutely.
His flags are flying high, and I've dealt with him at the VFW. He's active. There's never a dull moment with him. He's always working forward. Trying to move forward with the VFW.
That's fantastic.
Yep, somebody we know. That's outstanding. Here again, the efforts he put forth paid off very well.
Fantastic. Hey, I got a little tidbit here. There's an organization out there called suppliesforsoldiers.org, and I think you can even like it on Facebook. It's started by a Mark and Nancy Wolf. And this started when she deployed to Afghanistan, which she said was a wake-up call. She says the lack of basic necessities for our warfighters and her interaction with brave soldiers made it happen. Upon her return, this organization was started. Its mission to raise awareness of the needs of our servicemen and women who are bravely serving our country overseas and veterans here at home. They're here to organize and collect donated supplies and ship them to our brave heroes deployed in harm's way and to our veterans who may need some help. It's a 501c3 non-for-profit organization consisting of all volunteers who show their support for the United States military forces. Mark and Nancy Wolf, along with loyal, passionate friends, made a commitment to provide this service as long as our warfighters and veterans need it. This is a fantastic organization. Like I said, it's suppliesforsoldiers.org, and you can even like it on Facebook. You can read more about the organization, and they can also tell you where you can donate money or donate supplies or maybe get involved with this. So that's just another good thing that good people are doing.
Outstanding.
And things like that. I mean, it doesn't have to be, a large gift or money or
not at
anything like that. I mean, try to transport yourself into a position where even if it isn't something military, where you're away from home. Everything that's normal to you is no longer there.
Right.
So something from home, even a small object, is great. It's a morale booster, and we need all of that we can get.
Well, I remember we were working for the prison, and the Gulf Wars, were going on, and especially when Sergeant Brown's boy was in there.
All right.
People donated a bunch of stuff there at the prison, and they packed all this stuff up, and everything was sent overseas to him, and there was so much stuff that he was giving it away, to his comrades over there, so it was not just benefiting him, it was benefiting a lot of them, and that's what, more of that stuff needs to be done, because we got too much crap in this world, man. We got to start doing some good things.
So you got an article?
I do. I have an article. This one is about a Purple Heart that a Korean War veteran had earned that had gotten misplaced, where his family didn't know the whereabouts of it, that was eventually returned to him. Said a lost Purple Heart medal that was awarded to Korean War veteran Corporal John W. Naylor has been returned to his family. Said he was a Springfield resident that passed away on July 12th, 2006 at the age of 75. Said the Purple Heart, along with along with a combat infantryman badge and other family documents. They were in a bank safe at the U.S. Bank. Apparently, the family didn't know about them, and they turned them over to the Illinois Treasurer's office. And they had eventually, the office were able to find Naylor's daughter, a Springfield resident, Barbara Reynolds, on Tuesday, and they gave them her father's medals during a ceremony at the State House Rotunda. That's something that's super, super important to any family member or anybody who has relics or memorabilia like this. Not only because it's something that they remember their loved ones by, but it's because it's a piece of American history, and they can have something, even if it's just a small object, that they can not only remember the person, but some of what they done and the sacrifices that they made, and everything that they were willing to do.
Right.
And I think it's awesome to hear stories like that.
It is awesome, and that just leads me to something I was watching the other night. There's very few reality shows I like, if any at all, other than Duck Dynasty, which is it's kind of run its course. But I love American Pickers.
Oh yeah,
I love watching them go out and pick. I love the history that they talk about. They were visiting a guy the other night who just had just massive stuff. He also had a bunch of war memorabilia, just from every war and stuff that the people have left behind that he has collected. And just so happens that he had, I think it was like 6 Purple Hearts in his possession.
Holy cow.
And some of them had inscriptions of who it was and everything that he's going to try to get back to him. But Mike Wolf of the American Pickers took one with the permission of this guy and was going to try to find out who it belonged to, and was going to try to get that Purple Heart to that family. So, there's just some more good deeds right there, especially by somebody in a reality show, which
Sure.
That's fantastic. That really sent chills down my spine when he did that.
That's a good deal. Okay, we've been talking from time to time about the Syrian refugees and so on and so forth.
Is it time?
Yeah, it's that time.
Blood pressure check.
This is where we get to the good stuff.
Blood pressure check.
Okay, so like Tammy Duckworth, who was just voted in this past November, was one of the people calling for 200,000 Syrian refugees to be brought over here. Okay, now we've talked about this Dr. Mitchell before, who had interviewed Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, who is credited with, they say, is one of the masterminds of 9/11. Okay, we got a little video clip here, and we got some stuff to back this up, so we'll listen to Dr. Mitchell here real quick.
Dr. Mitchell.
Approached by the CIA and asked to help develop a program to get more information from terror suspects, including a man who came to be known as the so-called mastermind of 9/11, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. And not only did Dr. James Mitchell wind up interrogating KSM himself, he says the predictions that Mohammed made are already coming to pass in places like Berlin. And he says if we're not careful, the U.S. could wind up heading down the same path. Dr. James Mitchell joins us now, and he is also author of the new book, Enhanced Interrogation: Inside the Minds and Motives of the Islamic Terrorists Trying to Destroy America. Dr. Mitchell, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me on.
What were your thoughts as you saw that attack play out in Berlin?
Well, the first thing I thought was that this is exactly the sort of thing that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed had predicted. Back in 2004, maybe early 2005, years after his last harsh interrogation, he and I were talking about what he saw as upcoming trends in terror attacks. And he had become fascinated by the amount of damage that Malvo had done, along with Mohammed, around the Beltway when they were shooting people out of the trunks of cars. And for him, what surprised him was how much paralysis it caused, given how few deaths were involved, few from his perspective, right? And what he said to me was that our civil liberties and our openness and our willingness to be responsive to other people's cultures were actually gifts from his God, that they were weaknesses and flaws that he had put into, his God, Allah, had put into the American culture so that we could be defeated. He said that the easiest way to do that, in spite of the fact that Al-Qaeda dreamed of these big, huge, catastrophic attacks, that wasn't particularly practical. that the easiest way to win the long battle to take over the world with Sharia law was actually through immigration and by outbreeding non-Muslims.
Well.
He said that like-minded jihadi brothers would immigrate to Western democracies and to the United States. They would wrap themselves in our civil liberties for protection. They would support themselves in our welfare systems while they spread their jihadi message. And then, when the time was right, they would rise up and attack.
And you go through a lot of this in your book, and you said that he went on to provide an example of not these big, crippling, large-scale, catastrophic attacks, that he said that those were nice but not necessary. It was the low-tech terror attack that you're talking about. What was the example that he provided?
I'm not going to say, because it was actually a very, very easy sample. The point that he was making, though, was that one or two people who were intent on causing as much carnage as they could use things that were readily available in our culture to wreak havoc.
Okay, so, you know, this is a guy who's supposedly interviewed Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, and he's telling him all this stuff that we've been talking about. And anybody with any common sense can see the writing on the wall. And you see these things that they're talking about here, how one individual or a couple of individuals can wreak havoc on things, such as the attack in Berlin the other day where they ran a semi-truck through the shoppers and what, they killed 12 people, injured 48. So, you know, when you start looking at things like that, this is pretty simple stuff. It's pretty easy to figure out.
Note a couple of key things that he said up there, that they're wrapping themselves in our civil liberties
And sponging off our
and
system.
sponging off of the freaking welfare.
Right.
Go
right.
figure.
Who would have thought?
You know, but then they play and pander to our left-leaning snowflake liberals who would just offer up everything to these freaking individuals.
Those guys.
The fact that anybody in the United States of America today is naive enough to believe that BS, or to believe that to disbelieve, rather, would be an easier way to explain it, that's exactly what's happening, to me is absolutely astonishing.
They've got their head in the sand.
Oh, the ostrich effect again.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah, if you don't see this stuff coming, if you don't believe this stuff, there's something wrong with you.
How long can you sit back and continually make excuses and to try to blame shift and everything else to deny the fact that that's exactly what's going on? He just told you.
Right.
It really is that simple. To me, it is anyway. I mean, you think where have we gone? Like in the last 7 or 8 years? Tell me when before did we offer prayer sessions for Muslims? When did Muslims start saying, before the last 7 or 8 years, hey, we're not going to do our jobs. We're going to sue you because we're not allowed to pray.
Yeah.
Never before has that happened.
Well, under the good old liberal, super liberal Obama administration and all them other freaking snowflakes that are involved in there. And that's another thing, because if you look more and more Muslims are getting put into power in our government.
Absolutely, and they do it for a reason. And the thing that's even more perturbing is that people in our government are going to exploit something like humanitarianism to be able to make this happen, and not just to make it. They do it one step at a time to the point of where they think, okay, well, we'll keep giving and giving and giving, and then pretty soon everybody's going to get completely used to it, and then they're going to be scared to death of being shut off. So they've got their hooks into you, and now I mean, what they have no defense mechanism. So as they continue to go forward, it's like, okay, now we're going to take something like humanitarianism, since we have everybody in this feel-good state of unrealistic euphoria, and say, all right, now we have to be nice to these people, even though they're coming over here to kill you.
Absolutely, that's what they're doing. That is the whole plan of Islam.
And to think that 13% of America actually believes this is unreal.
Well, just go back and look at the video we put up there of Dearborn, Michigan. I mean, there is no Americanism left up in Dearborn, Michigan. There's no businesses that are American. Everybody runs around in frickin' hip jabs or whatever you want to call them. It's just crazy. And I got a report here. Go ahead if you got something.
Well, no, I was just going to say, and the thing about that is it's like that not because they forced their way into it. No. It's like that because people have let them do it.
Yep, absolutely.
Our government has let them do it.
Absolutely.
And the same thing over in London. They've now got a Muslim mayor. Eastern London has been decimated for years. It's basically like Dearborn, Michigan. There's nothing left of Eastern London. and it's just going to continue to get worse. And I've got a report here from the Washington Times that says 9 ISIS supporters have been arrested near Washington, D.C. And of the 9 who were arrested, all but one were in their teens and early 20s. Oh, great fighting age. Mm-hmm. One was a police officer, Starbucks barista. Yeah, police officer.
Go figure.
Starbucks barista, Army soldiers, bankers, and a cab driver. 4 of the 9 graduated from Northern Virginia high schools, 1 with honors. 2 attended Northern Virginia Community College. One of the men, a U.S. Army combat engineer named Mohammed Bala Jahala, go buy a chocolate bar, attempted to purchase firearms and attempted to carry out a Fort Hood-style attack. Another guy, Metro Police Officer Nicholas Young, traveled to Libya, gave advice to Islamic State followers, check this out, on how to avoid law enforcement monitoring. This is
Really?
a Metro Police Department officer going to Libya and giving advice to Islamic State followers on how to avoid law enforcement monitoring. Yeah, several others planned on creating online propaganda for terror group, seeking to encourage lone wolf-style attacks on Washington, D.C. But just let them in. Piss on it, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have that feel-good. They must like that L-Dopa effect that makes them feel good in the brain housing and thinking they're actually doing something.
Dopamine?
Yeah.
Yeah,
know?
L-Dopa. I like that even better than dopamine. Or
Come
whatever.
on, you L-Dopos.
Right, but
I mean, freaking wise up.
They get their information from people here in the United States as far as, how to work their way around the system and how to, like you were just talking about, a law enforcement officer going over there and saying, hey, you want to do this? We'll just, take this route.
Yeah, I mean, it's
And
ridiculous.
It isn't like it's too difficult for them to figure out our system.
No.
When they have people going over and telling them exactly how we operate. And, it's like inmates in corrections. By the time they leave, they know every loophole
Oh,
in
absolutely.
this, known to
Absolutely.
man.
Oh, yeah.
Every loophole under the sun. They've got it perfected. They
Let
know
me
what to
see.
say and everything. These people are no different.
If I get a prescription for antidepressants, I can get SSI when I get out of here. And we've even had psychologists, video psychologists, tell them
us
that
that.
exact same thing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Exactly.
And then we're going to have some people that actually legitimately question why we're in the position that we're in.
Yeah.
And then, normal people are like, they just look at them with this crap eating grin and say, are you serious? You know what I mean? Like, you ever catch yourself doing that?
Yeah, some people say something. You're like, really? Did you really just ask me that?
Because at that moment that it's like you can't even get into a legitimate conversation with this person because they're way too far gone. So you just have to, are you serious?
You just shake your head in a circle, I guess. I don't know.
Well, it's just like there's, apparently liberals don't even have the reasoning that God gave a dog. A dog has reasoning, okay? Liberals apparently don't.
I guess it's all.
Well, it's just that it rolls back into this to this distorted perception of reality that people have because that's what they've been taught.
Yeah. Yeah,
Whoa,
well,
where
it's
they've been
going on.
taught
It's
that
going
at?
on in our freaking schools.
I know it is.
You
So-
got this Common Core crap. You got all these liberal, socialistic, dumbass professors in frickin' college just brainwashing the crap out of everybody. You got all these organizations in colleges that are dumbing everything down, all these liberal organizations. And if you have a conservative organization, you get branded a frickin' piece of crap.
Sure.
As a hater.
Yeah.
As a hater.
Oh, you're a hater? Oh, that
you don't
poor
like
Islamic
anybody.
guy.
You don't like anybody. You're just a hater. You want to shove grandma off the cliff. You remember the old commercials about Obama, the people opposing Obamacare. It just never stops.
I think he's shoved people off the cliff with all his high frickin' prices.
No kidding.
No, that's an entirely different subject.
But what does it take for these people to wake up in our legislature or our powers that be? Well, we know it's going to change come January. So
It's got to.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens because to answer your first question, what's it going to take for all this to change? Is it's going to have to affect them personally? Because just
Yes.
think, all these people in the upper echelon, they're sitting there in their cozy armchairs and stuff. What they say and the decisions that they make don't necessarily affect them. It affects us. So in order for anything to happen that's going to make any real changes, somebody's going to have the bag to do something that directly affects the people that are in charge, which could even roll back into doing something that could be potentially negative for themselves.
Right. You know, you got these people making the laws and the rules that live on the mansion on the hill. Like you say, it doesn't affect them until it actually knocks their door down. But you know what? They got safeguards in place. They've got armed security
Right.
to keep that from happening. So, and you're right. It's going to take something directly to happen to them or a family member before they get their head out of the sand and wake up. By then, it could be too late.
You know, just like our founding fathers have always said, when being a politician becomes a full-time job and their pay scales start going up, they don't work for the people. And
Right.
I'm telling you, we've got too many politicians that have been in power too damn long, and that's all they want. They want votes, they want to stay in power, and they'll take money however they can freaking get it.
It's about personal gain.
Clinton Foundation.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I say that?
Let's
That's another thing that I'm really interested to see what happens with is the Clinton Foundation.
Dude, I'm
Well,
telling you what.
Let's keep a close eye on that. You know, even if we don't see it in the news, I think that's something that we should keep a close eye on over the next year and just see what happens with it.
Because we talked about that, a month or so ago, that without any anything to peddle, any influence to peddle, the wheels should fall off this foundation.
Well, sure, they have no leverage.
Right. Nothing. They've got nothing to peddle anymore. Now, you bring up that they're you're getting a little off track from where we had originally planned.
That's not a shocker, though.
Now, but you look at what Trump's doing now. He's trying to divest himself, and his son Eric Trump who raised a lot of money for the St. Jude's Foundation. They've got to distance themselves from these money-making foundations that help a lot of people because they don't want people to think that there's conflict of interest. Now, Trump, they're not going to let him do it because there's an investigation in his foundation. Whatever happens there, happens. Okay, if he's guilty of something, fine, do what you got to do. But as far as Eric, you know, with the St. Jude's, he's got to, you know, distance himself from it because of the conflict. Now, here's my question. These people are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Had Hillary won, what would happen with the Clinton Foundation? Would her and Bill back out of it? Would her and Chelsea back out of it? Or would the liberals just stand back and say, it's okay. The Clinton Foundation is a whole different deal.
Yeah, well,
sure
sure
it is.
they
Of
would.
course they would have. Of course they
Sure.
would have.
It's a whole different deal because it benefits Bill and Hillary.
Sure. So, I mean, well, to answer your question, did they back out of it when she was Secretary of State?
Absolutely not. Very good point.
No, absolutely not. You
In
know,
fact, they ramped it up a bit, I
sure,
believe.
that was their leverage. They got whatever they wanted from anywhere in the world. And you know, it was us that were paying the price for it.
Oh, yes, and will be for a while, I assume.
Not to get off track here, but I'm just so curious as to see what General Mattis is going to end up doing, because they say he's a freaking awesome dude.
Super. Can't
Well,
wait to see it.
You know, I think that it's going to be shocking for a while, especially when when Trump first goes in and all his people actually get to work. How much more effective we can be when we have leadership that, one, are leaders, and two, know what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Leadership.
What a
and knowing
change
what
this
you're
is gonna
doing,
be.
because we've witnessed this non-leadership and people not knowing what they're doing in the Department of Corrections
Oh,
for so
boy.
freaking long.
Oh.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So now that he is putting people in there that seem to know what they're doing and have just loads of military experience, which is what we need. We don't need some freaking snowflake going in there thinking they know what they're doing, haven't ever been in the freaking military. You know, and make plans to, you know, make America safe again.
Sure. And, you know, I mean, eventually you're going to have to come to terms with the fact that you're going to do some things that people don't like. But you know what? They
You
can
know
just
what?
not like it.
Tough crap.
But you know what? This is for the betterment of the people. It's not just the people in power. It's going to affect the whole country in a positive manner.
If you don't have a strong national defense, you don't have frickin' liberties. It's
'Cause
as simple as that.
There's no way to maintain them without a strong national defense.
No.
And you know, I mean, as far as the immigration thing goes, which is a huge problem in America, everybody knows that, is that when your policies start to go to where they are more beneficial to the immigrant than they are the host nation,
And
it's
they are.
over.
They are.
Right there.
And if
It's
you say
done.
if
It's
you
just a
say
matter of
anything
time.
against it, then you're branded a freaking racist and a hater.
Good, they can brand me whatever they want.
You know, I mean, it's
I
absolutely
do not
ridiculous.
give a damn.
Good night, Irene.
Okay. We're speaking to leaders, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to jump around a little bit here on the videos with you, John.
Well, don't jump too hard because you might strain something. Steve.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting old. We're in January. We're going to have a person to come up who's, in my eyes, is going to be a very good leader. And I think it's December 27th newspaper. It said Americans hopeful for a better 2017. And one of the things here says in the next year will be better because people have more jobs and they'll have more money to spend. And this is a gal from Harlem. So
Whoa, what'd you say?
they'll have jobs.
Where's she from?
Harlem.
Really?
Yeah.
So you have a lady from Harlem saying that there's going to be more jobs and more money available?
Yeah, exactly. And we got
That's odd. I would think they would just rather have little
the
Hillary
handouts.
in there.
Yeah. Well, maybe the idea of having a job and money to spend, more money to spend, maybe they figured it out.
Well, you know what? Spending money that you have earned makes you feel better.
Absolutely.
Sure.
You know, something that you look, I have went out and I freaking earned this. Now I'm going to go spend my freaking profits that I worked my butt off for.
And I'm going to do what I want with it.
Absolutely. It's my money and I want it now.
That's right. That means the government's not going to take it all from me. Anyway, we got a quick video here of the consumer confidence that just come up in December. It's risen like 4 points. It's the highest it's been like in 15 years. Let's take a view at this video clip here.
Consumer confidence has reached a 15-year high. Cheryl Casoni from our sister network, Fox Business, here with the president-elect's response.
Yeah,
Good
he
morning.
certainly took some credit, guys. Good morning for that big consumer confidence number that we got yesterday. I want to show you the tweet that he actually put out there. He said the U.S. Consumer Confidence Index for December surged only 4 points to 113.7. That is correct, the highest level in more than 15 years. Thanks, Donald, giving himself credit. But frankly, in the survey from the University of Michigan, people said that they felt better about the economy, better about the jobs picture, and a lot of that has to do with the election and the change in leadership at the White House. As you can see on your screen there, that graph shows you the build of consumer confidence. This is the best reading that we've had actually since 2001. So consumer confidence, guys, back at pre-financial crisis levels. And this is hopefully a market positive that takes us to Dow 20K today.
Yeah. Not only just record levels of confidence with consumers, but also confidence in the president-elect himself.
Well, absolutely. And he was tweeting just the other day about the $1 trillion in holiday spending and taking credit for that as well.
Yeah, he was as well. He was certainly taking credit for the fact that the economy may be on the mend, but he also has promised to bring jobs back to America. And something else that we're seeing, it's happening here in New York State. Tesla is bringing more jobs back to the United States. They're going to be building a plant here in northern New York State, and it's going to make solar cells. The big excitement about this, 1,400 jobs will be created. This is a combination of Tesla and Panasonic, the two agreeing to the deal. We don't have the financial numbers behind it, but Tesla does say that they will spend about $5 billion in New York State over the next 5 years, and then New York State putting in $750 million as well.
And not even in office yet.
Well, and he sort of tipped his hat to this with the carrier deal
Not
as
even
well,
in
that this
office
is something
yet.
that he would
Right.
be looking at.
Right, okay.
So you take a highly successful businessman full of confidence,
Oh, definitely full of confidence.
And not PC.
and before he is even in office, our freaking economy is starting to go through the roof. You've got the Dow teetering on 20K already.
Right.
You've got consumer confidence going through the freaking roof. Even people in Harlem are saying it's going to be a lot better. Mm-hmm. So the last 8 years we've had a freaking community organizer that has done absolutely nothing. So everything's been in the freaking tank.
And you know, I mean, and that it is that way, no doubt. I mean, look, they just explained it, the way that people react. I mean, down to the lowest level when they think that, hey, here's somebody that actually does know what they're doing. You know, I mean,
Yes.
people lead by example, which is why we're in the position that we're in now after
Right.
8 years of a clown. And he is a clown. In my opinion,
that
he's
right.
the worst leader we've ever
More
had.
like an ass clown. It makes Jimmy Carter look like the best thing since sliced freaking bread.
But just this to me is just a quick glimpse of what can happen when it gets into the people get into the mindset of hey, this can actually work. I can have something. I'm not going to get over-regulated. No, I'll keep things here. We'll stay here in America. And I really, really hope that this is just a small glimpse through the window of what's going to happen over time. Is Trump going to be perfect? Heck no, he's not.
No, he's not going to be perfect.
Heck
and
no.
I'm sure we'll say some freaking things about him that, he's doing some things that we don't freaking care for. But I think another thing here is everybody who's living off the government tit is seeing the writing on the wall. Going,
Sure. Like, hey, you know, this-
hey, we're going to have to work for our freaking money now.
yeah.
Well, you posted an article on our Facebook page about the fraud in the SNAP program that
Oh.
it's on.
Yeah.
But anyway, it gets back to the leadership, a proven leader. And, these people come out and say, well, Trump's never been in political office and does so on and so forth. He's not qualified. Well, neither was Barack Obama.
No,
Okay. Community organizer doesn't even register anywhere. It's not a job. It's nothing.
I still, and I said this years ago, and I think I've said it here on the show before. I think that if anybody, even some kids running a frickin' Kool-Aid stand, done their finances the way that he's done ours at the government level,
Oh, yeah.
they'd have been serving water. They couldn't afford the powder anymore.
Exactly.
And it's not that there aren't people out there that need food stamps. Okay, we understand that there are people out there who need assistance. It's a given.
We're good with that.
But-
yeah, absolutely.
But right now, under the community organizer, the food stamp fraud is at an all-time high,
Imagine
Whoa,
that.
go
Yeah.
figure.
with cases this year including a state lawmaker and even a millionaire getting food stamps.
Really?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
A state lawmaker's getting food stamps.
According to the USDA, $70 million of taxpayer money was wasted in 2016 due to food stamp fraud. The SNAP program has been ripe with problems almost since its inception. They mentioned a House Committee and Agriculture report that talks about a number of ways to determine new criteria for people to qualify for food stamps. So hopefully we're going to go in the right direction. But 45% of the food stamp recipients are under age 18. Another 9% are over the age of 60. I mean,
How many of them are dead?
well,
Well,
I don't know, but there could be a lot.
there'd be a lot of them in Cook County, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah.
But but like we've said, yeah, there's people who need it, but it's a program that needs revamped.
Well, sure. I mean, just look at 2015 for the first time in American history. We spent more on welfare than we spent on national defense. Now,
Yeah.
to me, that's a damn embarrassment.
That
It
is
a damn
embarrassing.
embarrassment.
Do we need to help people out? Absolutely. But you can't tell me that right now is different than the last 200 and something years.
No.
I don't think we're in that bad
No.
of shape.
No.
Well, that's the problem in the United States. Poverty level is here. Okay,
Right.
in other countries, it's way down here. Okay, our poverty level is great living for people in other countries.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Another one of our problems is we don't know how to live within our means.
Well,
There's
there-
too,
And that's not society's problem. That is the individual's
yeah,
problem.
absolutely.
Exactly.
It's so easy to swipe that freaking credit card. You know, when you're not, Dave Ramsey, who I've been checking into, says the more you pay with cash, the less you're going to want to spend because that cash leaving your hand sucks. And it does because we've tried to spend more money with cash now. I don't like it.
And another thing you was talking about the social systems that help people. Another thing I think you can contribute a little bit to that is the different organizations such as churches picking up the slack on a bunch of this stuff. I mean, you've got people that don't care. I mean, they don't go to church. Their neighbor could be suffering, and maybe they need their yard mower. They're just like, I don't care, and walk on. And you don't. And like I say, you got different organizations. Like, well, I'm a member of the Shriners. We do a lot of stuff there. We don't have very many members, but we do a lot of good work. The same way with the churches. You may have a lot of attendees, but how many people do you have going out there and helping other people?
Right.
Well, I know with our church that they really watch it when they have all their back to school things and other things like that because they know they've seen people come back time and again to get crap that they don't frickin' need. It's just ridiculous how unethical, immoral, whatever you want to call it, certain people will come in and just take whatever they want and don't give a crap about anybody else.
Whatever happened to spankings?
Well,
Well, they've almost outlawed them.
they didn't in my house.
No, they ain't in my house either, as one of us can attest to. Hey, you know what? We're out of time for this segment.
You're kidding me.
Oh, well, a little bit.
I think we only.
A little bit. Hey, remember, if you love your country, if you love your freedom, thank a veteran.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks for turning on and tuning in.
God bless you.
We'll be back in a few.
Bye-bye.